Maverick 100.9, Aggie Land's country alternative. It's Corliss, and you just heard the latest from Pat Green. And if it don't have a honky tonk, I've got Pat Green with me now. First off, how the heck are you?
Oh, Corliss, I'm doing fine. Thanks very much, and thanks for having me on the air. This wonderful day right here in the great state of Texas. I'm just, I feel fortunate, really, and I have a lot of gratitude for the fact that I've had a job in music for over 25 years.
I know. Isn't that incredible? I mean, honestly, for me, it's incredible to get to interview you. I've been lucky enough to see your shows and meet you a few times, but, it's been a little bit since you've had a release.
Oh, there's no doubt. And I don't know that that's really by design or that's more likely just kind of how it worked out. Once I was on RCA and Universal for 15 years. And when you're on a record label, man, the pressure never really turns off. They just really, you're going to put out a record every year. And man, we did that for a really, really long time. And, you just kind of get burned out on putting something out every year. From that point on, I just wanted to put out a record whenever I felt like it.
Yeah. I mean, you would have to admit it almost robs you of what probably made you an artist in the first place. That creative mindset that you get into and you get to create, but you get to do it on your time as opposed to somebody just pulling the trigger on it.
Yeah. I mean, there's an old saying within, it's not just country music or it's not genre specific, but in general, you most people have 19, 20 years to put together their first album, and then the record label will give you 8 months to put out the next one. So, I don't think that bothered me. In great respect to the fact that I just, when I was young, I put out my records by myself. So it wasn't really a pressure to make hits because I knew I wasn't going to be on the radio. I just did it the way I wanted to do it. And by the time I got to about my fifth or sixth record, that's when I really kind of started to feel like it was the Carry On record where my ability caught up to my ambition. Mm-hmm. And then, I mean, it wasn't long after that we were getting some really tremendous crowds throughout the South and on a totally grassroots level. So, the next thing I know, old Jed's a millionaire kind of thing. It's like the record labels kind of just started coming in one at a time and saying, hey, we want to sign you and we want to do this and we want to do that. We're going to make you a star. And I was like, okay, as long as I don't have to leave Texas and as long as you don't tell me what songs to record, we're going to be great, So,
and did they?
No, absolutely not. Good. They didn't listen to that. No, they totally tried to force it down my throat. But at the same time, because I did have more of a homegrown fan base,
right.
I did have a lot more leeway than your average guy signing a brand new record deal.
That makes a lot of sense. I started Maverick 100.9 3 years ago in September. It'll turn 3 years old. And, we play nothing but Texas country and red dirt. And it's a majority of independent artists. And when I first started collecting music for Maverick, one of my coworkers, who's an Aggie, she immediately started reminiscing on her college days. And that was the first thing she asked was, are you going to put in all that incredible old Pat Green? I said, yes, of course I am. And, because you have spanned across generations, that love is deep. It's people who are just coming into Aggie Land this year, and it's people that were listening to you years ago. It's amazing that you've been able to span that far. And, I'm guessing that that's where the title of this new album comes into play. It's called Miles and Miles of You. Is that almost like Miles and Miles that Pat Green has covered all of these years?
But there's no doubt. I wrote a line in Carry On, one of my earlier songs, says, Walt Wilkins, I've sure seen the miles. The millions and millions and millions and millions of miles that I've traveled throughout the world to take music out. Miles and Miles of You is a love song, and you can tell that. But
yeah.
I think that, I don't know. The places that I haven't been yet, I only want to see them from the perspective of just going to visit and not going to where I really love to. I'd love to go to China. I'd love to go to Japan, Indonesia, Fiji, those, the Far East.
Yeah,
and
me
not,
too.
And not have a guitar that I have to check. And
Yes.
so I'm looking very much forward to those trips when I'm an older person, and maybe get my kids to go on the road out there and have some fun. But yeah, I've been a very fortunate guy.
Well, and speaking of fortunate, everybody has been talking all weekend long about your album release. It just released on Friday. Are you hearing that buzz as well, that excitement?
Yeah, I did definitely feel the power. I think, we had some milestones. We got to top 3 on iTunes. We got some really good feedback from the Spotify world, which I didn't really know what to expect. Like you said, being this artist that, has been around for so long, it's like, okay, does anybody really care about new material, or do they still just want to hear the 18 songs that they heard on the radio a long time ago? So,
well, I'm
it's
confirming people are glad you are back. People are glad to have new music from you, myself included. I'm just a fan,
Well, I appreciate that, and I feel like the songs on this record are very genuine. They're very much mine. And if I didn't write, there's a few of them I didn't write, but I feel like the songs are straight down the middle for what I am right now and for what I want to sound like. And it's my band, playing all these things. I mean, it was COVID; we couldn't really do anything, right? It was, we were canceled 2 years worth of shows, and basically, we rented a big old house down in Austin, and everybody just stayed there for 3 weeks, and we brought in food, and guys in hazmat suits bringing our food to us, and it was a wonderful time, and the bonding that happens with a band whenever you're making a new record was even that much stronger, because it seemed like the world was kind of on edge, and you couldn't turn on any television without hearing the exact same thing for the 10 millionth time. And so it really, I think everybody knew that once the vaccine was in play that we were going to have a very different look at things. But it took a dang long time, didn't it?
It sure did. It sure did. But I am really glad that you did have that time with your guys and had a whole different recording process, because it's all new, and it's almost realer that way when you do it yourself like that. You have complete control, and, nobody knows your fans better than you and what they want to hear.
What I do have is I had some really good teachers, mentors, when I was coming up in music, with guys like Jerry Jeff Walker and Willie Nelson and Walt Wilkins. To name a few, were the guys that taught me how to write songs and taught me how to tap into it. Now I would like to mention one more, and I'm not trying to name drop, but I am. But I know that. But Radney Foster got a hold of me when we were making the 3 Days record.
Yeah,
and we wrote that song together. But he told me the only really good way to write songs is get vulnerable and tell the truth. And so when I start into the process of writing a record or making a project happen, it's really it has to hit my truth with like a ball peen hammer, or else I'm not going to put it on there. I don't care if I wrote it or not, right? I mean, I've written and thrown away thousands of songs,
right?
Just because they weren't up to snuff, right?
Yeah.
So I have no problem throwing out a really decent song if it doesn't tell you a story that I really want to tell you.
That's perfect way to put it, though. And Radney, I've heard many stories about him taking artists under his wing, and he's still doing it. He did it with William Beckman, and I love that he has passed on that it's almost like a Radney Foster master class. But I am curious, have you started taking artists under your wing as well? I mean, really, a lot of our musicians
don't mind helping people out.
Yeah,
I kind of take it like Jerry Jeff took it for me. Jerry, Jeff, and Susan were very much into making the business side of making music. It's showbiz, right? Everybody says showbiz.
Yeah.
And that's because they don't want you to know that it's a business. And now hey, this is how we make a living, and we have to have a profit margin and all that. But so that's really more what I try to help out the younger guys with, and just tell them, hey, look, you're going to see the same people on your way up that you're going to see on your way down. And I don't care who you are. In about 5 years or 10 years, there's going to be somebody younger and thinner that's more in touch with the next generation than you are. And so I'm not saying you need to go out there and change the way you do things, but you definitely need to kind of see what the trends are doing and try to make that fit within the mold that you have for your own music. Because you can certainly, if you stay there forever, you really kind of get left behind. So you have to make songs that fit through time.
Yeah.
And I think the Beatles were great at doing that. The Stones were great at doing that. You listen to the music of George Strait early on, and where it's gone. You just really have to keep rolling with time, and not get so caught up on yourself. Jesus, nobody is, There's only been one Willie Nelson, so let's don't.
We've seen it happen to lots of people.
Yeah. You don't have to think about being, a celebrity. The thing that you need to think about is have really relevant music for a long period of time.
I mean, the good example of that is the Pat Green that I met at, what year did Wave on Wave come out? Was that
2003.
So 13-year-old Corliss met Pat Green. And then I just saw you again at the Texas Birthday Bash in February. That's the same Pat Green.
Yeah, a little bit softer, a little bit grayer hair. But,
yeah, but so am I. So,
I don't mind. Yeah, my son was born when that record came out. So that's the perspective that I have. He went to college this year, and I'm certainly really, really proud of the young man that he's become. But that was a dang long time ago.
I love that. Well, speaking of a dang long time ago and a whole lot going on in your life right now, I noticed a little mini Docu series that's come out about you. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
I think that's something my agent did to try to irritate me, because it's. It took 3 days of sitting in my house, just recording hours of me talking about myself, and it gets tedious after a while, I'll say.
It's funny you say that, because I'm the interviewer, and there were a few times over COVID where podcasts and stuff actually interviewed me. Man, that's weird to talk about yourself. It is weird.
You get used to it to a certain extent if you've done it as long as I have, and it's never comfortable to explore your own life, but it's I don't know. It's just like it took me a while to kind of calm down and get to the point where I could talk. I'm used to talking on radio. I can do this all day long,
right?
But, when you're self-conscious about what you're wearing and how you're dressed, and the fact that you've been dressed in the same clothes for 3 days while they're doing this, and I don't know how movie stars do it. They'll be months and months doing these, same scenes and wearing the same clothes, So, I don't know. I had a good appreciation for those people, and I don't know. It's cool. I'm glad we have it, because my grandkids, children can laugh at me for years.
I love that. Well, if you want to get to know Pat Green more, definitely look that up, and definitely get the Miles and Miles of You album. It's absolutely incredible. I've already been jamming it all weekend long. And one last question. This is more of like a curiosity thing. One of my coworkers was rolling around through Fort Worth and saw the Galley Winter Gallery.
Yeah, sure enough. We had an art gallery I had it for 5 years, and then her old friend COVID struck again.
No.
You got to think about it. There was a 2-year period where I was paying rent for
a space
art
that
is
couldn't
an expensive
be used.
item.
Yeah.
it's an expensive thing to buy, and I mean, I still have my own art, and I still sell my work, and I I sell a lot less than I used to now because I don't have the gallery, but yeah, I was paying rent for almost 2 years, and and that bill doesn't go away.
Yeah,
People who
that's
own
for
real estate
real.
they want their rent no matter what. So.
Well, so that art is still available to people, though, because I have seen some of it. You do a lot of different things. You do painting, you do metalworks.
Yeah, most of the stuff that I do now is all sculpture, because my office and where my little office is, it's not far from my house, but there's not a lot of space, and there's so I can make my sculptures there, and then I get them molded and bronzed. But they're still working. There's a gallery in Fredericksburg that still carries my work.
Oh.
And then as I do them, I can only do them like one at a time now instead of doing 3 or 4 at a time.
Right.
And as soon as I'm finished with one, I'll put it out there on the on the internet and see if anybody wants it. And I don't sell very many of them. Like I used to sell copies and copies and copies and copies and copies of. Because that's what you do, right? Okay, how you say breaking the mold. You can do about 25 copies of a bronze, and then the mold loses integrity. So you have to trash it. You break the mold, and then that's all you get. But I only make like 4 or 5 copies now of those bronzes. But there you go.
It's
interesting stuff, right?
It's very interesting to me, mostly because that's something I took from COVID was an appreciation for art. I call them my grown-up posters. Like I never outgrew that poster phase.
Yeah. I hear you completely.
Yeah.
I'm going. For instance, tomorrow I'm going to go see Duran Duran. So I'm pretty jazzed about that. I'm thinking about my idiot old school friends, and we're going to all go. We're all going to go down there and see those guys play. So I'm excited.
Well, I feel like we got to learn so much more of the different sides of Pat Green today.
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm a Duran Duran fan, but not everybody goes through a phase. My wife used to listen to Poison a lot, so
I've seen Poison 3 times.
There you go.
I went to Rob Zombie last weekend. And I saw Elton John at the beginning of the year. So that goes to show I've got many sides myself, right?
Right. I do hear you. I certainly do.
Oh, man. Well, this has just been a wonderful chat. I just absolutely love getting to know you a little bit better. Now, everyone, of course, you can hear Pat's new single, If It Don't Have a Honky Tonk, playing right here on Maverick. But please, we urge you to go get this brand new album, Miles and Miles of You. And Pat, thank you so much for coming here to Maverick to chat about it.
It's absolutely been my pleasure, Cordless. And once again, thanks for having me on the air and thinking about me and helping out Texas music, Red Dirt music, and whichever name you like to call it. But, I don't know what a wonderful privilege it is to have this job. And thank you.